Danville City Commission meeting, regular meeting. Today is Monday, March the 25th, 2024. The time is 5:32, and we appreciate your attendance today. We're going to be led this afternoon in the word of prayer by the mayor, and going to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Miss Melanie Crossfield. She's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance today. Okay, she said, what are you talking about, Mayor? But okay. If you would bow with me, I'd just like to have a moment of silence again as we begin this meeting, and you can pray what you want to pray, but just let's recognize a moment of silence today. And I guess it's in response to the violence that's going on amongst us in our world and in our country. Thank you. Anytime I hear about anyone losing their life to violence, that disturbs me, but it really disturbs me when I hear about young people who are a lot younger than I am, a lot younger than 39. When they lose their lives to violence, it just really disturbs me. So, Ms. Crossfield? Come on down, Ms. Crossfield. She said, what do I have to do all that for, Mr. Mayor? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, before you return to your seat, I've been asked to ask the audience to join me in singing happy birthday to you today. I didn't hear anybody singing, though. That's a birthday present. The commission is not going to sing to you, right? Somebody very dear, sweet, and personal to you asked me to do that. She did, okay? So, all right. Commissioners, we need to approve our agenda as presented, but I'd like to approve the agenda with one amendment, and that is resolution number 2024-0525-10. So can I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor of approving the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed likewise, the agenda is approved. Mr. Dexter, should I put that in as 2A or should I move it down under legal?
I think it can be 2A, that will be fine. And I think
Okay.
just with some, if we're ready to proceed, then I would just like to give a couple of introductory remarks to the first two items.
Yes.
And then 2A, we can finalize it with our resolution, if that's okay.
Okay, so let's hear from the public first.
Okay.
Then I'll come back to you, sir. On our agenda, we have two opportunities to the commission to hear from the public. This one right now is that we allow you an opportunity to come before us, talk to us for 3 minutes or less, present your concerns about items that are on the agenda tonight, only on the agenda. And since it's called Hear the Public, that means we're not going to respond back to you. But is there anyone present? Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mr. Dexter?
Thank you, Mayor. Just as an introduction, a brief one to items 1 and 2 on your agenda. You'll remember at our last meeting, the city manager had included a letter that was submitted to representatives of Kinder Morgan and Team Leader LLC in regards to the development that's happening on the US 150 Danville bypass across or adjacent to Lowe's, and specifically the roadway leading from the bypass to where Chick-fil-A is located, which has been closed for some time. The letter reiterated his desire and the city's position that there be some communication regarding the safety of the pipeline that transcends that area, as well as an explanation of how that impacts our community and what the solution was to have the road reopened, which does encumber access to our water tower at the end of that development. So I'm happy to report that the representatives from both parties, the developer and Kinder Morgan, responded, and we met today at 3 o'clock prior to this meeting today, and folks arrived in a cooperative spirits to discuss that issue at length. And I think they're going to provide you their own respective updates. But I do want to compliment both parties in, one, their attendance, and two, their appearance in coming with rational solutions to rational concerns that you have expressed and through the city manager. And once they conclude their presentations, I am happy to say we did come to a resolution of how we're going to proceed, and we can state that publicly on the record after they've had a chance to have some dialogue to you on that matter publicly. So with that, Mayor, I will cede my time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kinder Morgan, you want to take the microphone, identify yourself, and give us a little brief update about your current position.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the commission. I'm Alan Four, Vice President with Kinder Morgan. I appreciate the opportunity to brief you on an update on our pipelines generally in the area, as well as specific to the development that the city attorney just referenced. As you may be aware, and can we pass out the documents for the members of the commission? We currently operate 5 pipelines that in some way traverse the Danville city limits. These are all natural gas pipelines dating back to as early as the late 40s when they were installed. These are transmission lines that provide natural gas beginning in the Gulf area all the way to the northeast, including in many areas of Kentucky. The way the process works for distribution is we handle the long-haul pipelines that transport the gas, and then our customers are utilities primarily, who then deliver the natural gas to homes and businesses. So significant supply of natural gas has been in the county, in the city, in the county, in the state for really generations. These pipelines are regulated by the U.S. Department of Transportation, Office of Pipeline Safety, and we have been in compliance with those safety regulations since the pipeline's inception. These are safe, have been safe, and continue to be in safe operations. One of the things we talked about at our meeting previously and in previous conversations with the city manager and the city engineer and city attorney is providing updates to the council on our operations and any planned activities that the public might see in relation to those operations. And we certainly think that's a great idea, and we'll do that. We talked about it on an annual basis, just giving you an idea of any work that's planned, any integrity work, anything else related to the line, so that when and if the public sees activity related to our pipelines or excavation or activities, they know what it is. You all know what it is, as well as a point of contact, direct point of contact between Kinder Morgan and the city that can respond to any questions that you have. So turning to the development that the city attorney referenced around the Chick-fil-A, and the road does remain closed pending the final restoration of the area and repaving of the road. So part of our operations is to make sure that anything that crosses above our line is safe and doesn't compromise the integrity of the pipe. So part of the development is we did lower that pipe in the roadway crosses to a deeper depth. That has been done and accomplished. And now we're working towards how best we can quickly work with the developer on restoring the remaining aspects of that road. We understand the importance of this. Chick-fil-A is a big deal. A lot of folks visit that area, and we know that point of access is critical for that, in addition to the water tower and having unfettered access to that area. So I think the city attorney is going to talk about a number of steps that we've agreed to take, some milestones to get this road open in a timely manner. So I appreciate the discussion we've had with Mr. May and his development team, and I'm confident this is a process we can bring to conclusion. Bottom line, getting the road open, making sure the pipelines that have operated safely there will continue to operate safely into the future, and that this development, not only with Chick-fil-A, but future development can proceed as planned. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and again, appreciate the opportunity to update the council.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, appreciate you coming.
Any questions?
I just appreciate you coming in and hearing that we would have a annual update would be nice to know what's going on.
Happy to do that.
Mr. May?
Thank you.
I'm CJ May. I haven't been up before you in quite some time. We purchased this property back over 20 years ago, and we did the first phase with Lowe's and Cracker Barrel and so forth. And along the way, you know, I'd kind of forget about it, and when tax season come due, I'd remember, and then I'd forget 30 days from there. So I did that for over 20 years, and finally, you know, we were approached by Chick-fil-A, and everybody wants a Chick-fil-A, Danville, whoever, any city wants that. So we said, okay, we'll do this. So we take one on the chin and do Chick-fil-A deal. It was not a good economic deal for us, but it did get the project started, and that's what our goal was. So we fast forward, and then we got into a disagreement with the gas company, and we were asked to close the road, which we did. And now I'm very encouraged about today's meeting before this meeting. And I want to thank Stephen Dexter, Earl Coffey, who couldn't be here tonight, and Marshall Carrier. I don't think, there he is, yeah. So they were instrumental in arranging for the meeting and help us get off to a good start. I also want to thank Alan for his opening the meeting in the spirit of cooperation. And the way he opened the meeting was exactly the way we would have opened the meeting had we had that opportunity. I think our goal here is to make sure we open not only safe roadway from the gas perspective, but we want it for the emergency fire and emergency protection. We want to make sure your 16-inch water line is protected and everything is protected. I mean, you guys are our friends and colleagues. I'm a Kentucky boy. I live in Lexington. And the last thing we want to see is somebody to get hurt, okay? So if that road is opened back up, I think you can rest assured that we've done everything, and the gas company has done everything they can do to make sure that that happens. I believe we left the meeting today saying it was going to be our goal to get it opened by the end of April. And Stephen can correct me if he thinks I've misstated that. But there's a few things that need to be done. It needs to be backfilled properly so that you don't have settlement there. And so we're going to go to work. We have to go out and vacuum, take a vacuum truck to vacuum to get the elevation of the lines that were installed, or the line that was installed. And then once we do that, we'll have a plan on how to backfill it properly and get the right kind of base and pavement and stuff to reopen the road. We're in discussions on how we can get all that done by the end of April, I do believe. So we're going to make every effort to do that. And if there's anybody that's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Why don't we let
Okay,
Stephen present the resolution?
Sure,
and then
thank you.
Then we can ask questions to all three of you, if there are any.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I think the goal of the city manager, the instruction was the city manager was twofold. One was to determine, are there safety issues, and if so, what? That was the preeminent issue on the table, and which Kinder Morgan admitted off to start the meeting that the line is safe. It has been safe. So that was the first public service announcement that the city manager wanted reaffirmed, and that was attained. The second item at hand was a schedule to have the road reopened in a timely fashion. And the parties came to a schedule that was agreeable at the request of the city, and that schedule is as follows, which is memorialized in the resolution before you. If you'll see on your map there that they handed out, that Kinder Morgan handed out, there are two lines that are in question here. They're labeled 100-2 and 100-3. 100-2 is the line that has been lowered, and 100-3 is a line that has not been touched, but the proper depth of that line, I would say, is under consideration. So the Kinder Morgan has agreed to determine whether the depth of that line 100-3 is acceptable by the end of this week, and we'll communicate that to the parties. Team leader will determine the depth of all other relevant utility lines in that area. Also, they're going to attempt to do that on Friday of this week, and representatives of Kinder Morgan will also be present to view it. The parties have agreed to have a field meeting on April the 3rd, and the city will be present for that meeting as well. And through its, Marshall Carrier will be there on behalf of the city. It's an engineer-owner type meeting, not legal and otherwise. It's a field meeting. And then at your next Board of Commissioners meeting on April the 8th, there will be a report to you given from that field meeting, perhaps by Marshall Carrier or Kinder Morgan if they so desire. And then Kinder Morgan and team leader will agree to submit a written report to city staff by the 10th of April, stating a specific plan and timeline for reopening the roadway, which they agreed a reasonable time frame would be by April the 30th. So that was the schedule that was the city requested in consultation with the parties, and everyone at the table found it to be reasonable. That is that's what came out of our meeting today. I don't know if there are any additional comments or that need to be made on that, but.
If I could just say one thing. Our engineer checked with the vacuum truck about exposing the lines, and what he learned was, yeah, they're available, but that's Good Friday, and I think your Kinder Morgan representative was not available that Friday.
Okay.
And then he's on vacation next week. So if there's someone else that can do that, we could have it done like on Monday or something. Shoot for Monday. You get somebody to replace him? Okay. So.
Okay,
it'll
so
be-
we'll change that date to Monday. In all events, that'll be done prior to the field work or the field meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay, we can revise that language. So in number 2 on your resolution, where it says that team leader and Kinder Morgan will have the depth determined by 3/29, we'll just change that to by 4/3, which will be the same day as the field meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Well, I just appreciate when reasonable people can come to a reasonable conclusion. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about, and I appreciate you all working together and getting that done.
Appreciate staff working with them and working with you all, and then also that the citizens know it's safe. I think that's important.
That was a big take. Everyone at the table should know that everyone was concerned about safety, was adamant that it be adhered to, and that was never been a concern of anyone at hand. But it was nice to have the group together to have it properly reiterated, both at the meeting and for the public at large.
Yes. Any other comments? Well, I got to attend the last part of the meeting, and I too just want to say thanks to all parties involved, and I look forward to the 30th of April when I can drive up the hill in the proper direction towards the water tower. It's important I go to the water tower.
I'll make one additional comment. Again, all the kudos and thanks for getting this done, but the timeline is great. get it moving quickly, get it over with. There's a lot of safety concerns we want to address.
Thank you, sir. We need to have a motion to approve Resolution 240325-10. Is there a motion to approve with the amended date of April the 3rd?
I move to approve resolution number 2024-0325-10 with the amendment of 4/3/24.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all, and thank you guys for your cooperation.
Thank you.
If you don't have anything else for us, we're going to go listen to John Calipari speak.
You were doing just fine. Okay.
Yeah, see what he says.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, let's move right along. The next on our agenda is we have a proclamation in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month, and that's going to be read by Commissioner Siri.
Okay, proclamation, as the mayor stated, Child Abuse Prevention Month 2024. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most valuable assets, and whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development, and whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life of a community, and whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children, ensure all children grow to their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now therefore be it resolved that Mayor J.H. Atkins and the city commissioners of the city of Danville on this 25th day of March 2024 recognize April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and urge all citizens to increase their participation in the efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Not expecting any questions or comments. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion carries. We have lots of people here present to receive this proclamation. So I'm going to ask you, ladies and gents, to come forward, receive the proclamation, and I guess Ms. Crossfield's going to want to take a picture, right?
Okay, I guess I'm alone with getting this.
They all got the blues on. Look. They all got the blues on. You want to say something, man?
I will, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead. You won't charge anything. Yeah. Why don't you do that first?
We'll take a picture, yeah. Okay. Yes, yes. Okay, okay, that works.
Commissioners, don't be shy.
I'm like,
Get out of the way.
Lord, what's the proclamation for us?
Director.
Yeah. Thank you all. I would like to first just say thank you all again for always being willing to support our mission, to wear proudly the pins and the recognition that we give you all. Hopefully you all wear that throughout the year. But I'm not sure if anybody in the room knows what this fun little pinwheel represents. But the reason that we plant these yearly is these represent the happy childhood that all children deserve. Earlier today, we planted 151 of these at the county courthouse in the courtyard. And that was, each one of those was to represent a child that a petition had been filed on in the in Boyle County last year. So 151 petitions of child abuse had been filed. However, we know for a fact that there's numerous ones that fell through the cracks because of the new policy that is going on. And so we are just very extremely thankful that the city always represents us, always supports our mission. But please remember that the pinwheel, when you see that, take a moment, lift up a prayer for these children. I'm not sure if you all know, but there's a new CASA license plate. You can get it, what's it called? License plate, but then I just got mine. Customized, thank you for the word. And my word is speak. And the reason that is my word is because my Bible verse is also Proverbs 31:8, speak up. And they wouldn't let me have a U on my license plate, so it had to just be speak. But it is our responsibility to always speak up for those that are the most vulnerable in our community, and that's a child that's suffered abuse and neglect. So again, thank you all for being supporters of our mission. Thank you all for giving us a smile when you see us in the community, because our volunteers, it's hard work what they do. And so if you see them and you know one, thank them. Thank you all again.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on the agenda is a banner request for Earth Day. Dr. Miles, want to come forward?
Very quickly, we request permission to hang a banner on the city's nice front porch, communicating to the community our local Earth Day celebration. It'll be April the 20th at the Boyle County Extension Office.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve the banner as requested?
So move.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am.
That way.
Any questions or comments?
No, it's great that you keep this thing going, Preston.
Yes.
Awareness, it's always a good turnout. I think most people have been there, but if you haven't, there's always a lot of good information there.
What time does it kick off?
11 to 3. 11 to 3. We've got 30-some odd exhibitors, both locally and around the region and state.
Yeah. Food and music, right? Don't you usually have a food truck and music?
A couple of food trucks, some live music.
Yeah,
Lots
okay.
of children's activities.
Rain or shine.
Maybe a few free giveaways.
Yeah. Something for every age, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. All those in favor of approving this proclamation, say aye.
Hi.
aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Solar Rise Boyle County. Okay, next on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the previous meetings. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 3/8/2024 and 3/11/2024 as presented.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Any corrections, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those two sets of minutes, say aye.
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 Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you. First reading of ordinance 2028 2024-521 involving the Insolent Avenue zone change.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 2028, an ordinance changing the zone from highway business HB and agriculture HG or AG to light industrial LI for approximately 6.787 acres, more or less, of real property located at 521 Insolent Avenue in the city of Danville, Kentucky.
Thank you, ma'am.
I move for approval of the first reading of ordinance 2028.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peak?
Yes.
Mayor Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sayers?
Yes.
Thank you all. Next item, Resolution 2403-2501, health insurance renewal. Mr. Boyd.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just as a recap, staff had brought on the March 11th meeting a proposal for the board to review of the city's health insurance renewal for the new plan year. Staff is coming back to the board to ask for approval of the plan as presented. Just in summary recap, the plan is essentially being presented as the same design with last year, with the exception of some changes with the medical plan deductible and out-of-pocket limits to help offset some of the increased costs that the city would incur for the current plan year. In summary, the plan as presented would be the same scope of coverages through all of your tiered plans, medical, dental, vision, offer the same supplemental plans, life insurance, your colonial products, et cetera, your pharmacy program as well. And in summary, that total plan, current year's plan cost is $3,311,927. The renewal proposal that you have in front of you would be $3,646,403, which is approximately an increase over the prior plan year of $311,000. And that is including the adjustments to the deductible and out-of-pockets that were presented to you at the last meeting. And so that is, open that up for discussion, but staff is requesting approval as we do have to have a decision back to the carriers by April the 1st to meet our 5/1 renewal deadline.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-03-2501.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Questions or comments?
That's the total for everything, right? All
Yes.
insurance, dental and health, life, all of it.
It is, and that includes all of your plans, administrative fees, plus broker service fees. That's your total health care.
All of the fees, right?
Yes.
All right.
Do we have to pay Funkhauser at all?
Kevin, I could ask him to work for free, but I might not get too far. I think he likes me, but not that much. I can try, though.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving this resolution, 03-2501, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. You have the next two items, Mr. Boyd, so.
So, Mayor, in front of you, so last year, staff, as part of its kind of bring more efficiency and scope of services to its training module for employee staff, city went to an online learning platform. We contracted with a company called HSI for a broad scope of trainings that includes safety training and general personnel training. That has worked very well for the city, along with, a combination of our in-person training. We would like to expand the scope of services, and so what we're bringing to you is an amended contract. Right now, the city purchased roughly 400 different training modules at a cost of $10,000 annually. The HSI has brought back a proposal to the staff to incorporate over 3,000 training modules at an additional cost of $9,855, which can be absorbed through budgeted unused funds that staff has put in the training line item in the city's budget. And so we're requesting to expand that to continue to push forward with enhancing our training programs for city staff.
Okay.
Is there a requirement for staff to attend
Yep, so
these,
these-
or how's that?
Yeah, so what we're doing is part of our initiative, and we're still kind of developing some of our safety training or overhauling it, but every month, what we do is our safety advisory group, we meet monthly to review our training topics. And so we find general topics as a board, or as a group, excuse me, and we roll those out to staff. And they are required trainings. You know, it could be simple. These are simple, like what I would say, 5 to 20-minute videos that people can do at their own pace. And it really helps build efficiencies around training, especially when you're talking about off-shift employees, and we have so many employees working different hours. It's hard to get them all in a room at one point, and this program has helped us broaden that scope of service, training. And so right now, we send out about anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a month of general topics training that all city, full-time employees have to go through. And then some of our part-time employees, depending on their job classification, have to go through that as well.
So, I mean, all of the employees have used it then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and what's nice about it is this, the training that we've got has been integrated into our Paylocity HRS system, and so you can actually watch it on your phone. There's a quiz that's attached to the end of it, and so it's been very resourceful for us to get more training done in a shorter amount of time.
You can also track who's taking the training and who's not?
Yes, and so that's the other part of that. It will, when somebody completes a training, part of their HR record, it will attach a certificate showing that they've completed that training, and you can also monitor their progress. So their manager can go in and look and see where they're at in their trainings. And additionally, what we also did is opened up for voluntary learning, meaning you can go in, if an employee wants to learn something on their own, we don't just assign it to them. That library's there for you to review and look at on as well on your own time.
Vito, other questions?
Yeah, we've had sufficient success with the 400-piece training library. What will the additional?
So it's going to expand a lot more on job-specific safety training. And these are some of the things that we're working with OSHA as well right now as part of our consultation. It'll expand some of the general personnel trainings. And so that's really where I would say in simple terms, that's what it's going to do for our training library. And it's going to get into more specifics. And the nice thing about HSI's library, when there are legal updates to regulatory things, they will update these trainings and they stay up to date automatically for us.
Can they get diversity, equity, and inclusion training from these modules?
Yep, we've already done that once this year. We have diversity, equity. We did our harassment and discrimination training, and we also did our unconscious bias training through there as well already.
And you're keeping track of what's going on in
Yep.
the state legislature, right? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome.
Call for the question. All those in favor of Resolution 032502, say aye.
We didn't
We
have
need to,
Oh,
I'll
we
make a
Oh, we
motion
didn't?
to approve Resolution 2024-032502.
Thank you,
Second.
ma'am. Thank you, sir. Now, all those in favor. say
Well,
aye.
can I ask one more question?
Yes, sir.
So, meeting qualifications of the first 400, now we're asking for more money to expand that, but does it make any difference?
It does, because it gets into more of the job-specific trainings that we're looking at. So, for example, we're looking at, right now, we're working on some programs for lockout, tagout, expanding that. We don't have enough specific training on, that's just one example of many. We can look at more power equipment training like forklifts, bobcats, those things that we are required to train for under OSHA standards. This training will expand some of that as well.
Okay. Just want to get it clear in my mind, the extra cost going in here.
So it'll be a total of 19,000 this year coming up?
Yes. Currently, we pay, our current contract's $10,300. The amendment would bring that up to roughly $19,800 total cost annually. And again, that's total cost for all city employees.
Okay.
And this can be looked at every year or annually to make sure that it's actually being utilized and,
Yeah, we actually, yes, it is, and we actually look at it really on a monthly basis where we lay out our training programs. And one of the things that we want to try to expand is not just the generalized training, but getting more department heads to utilize it for their job-specific training, give them the resources so they don't have to take employees away from the field as much. You know, it brings more efficiency to some of that job-specific platforms. And so, yeah, we look at it monthly, and then we look at our plan every year, monthly and annually. That's the two intervals that we're looking at with our trainings.
Thank you, sir. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, Mr. Board, you have the next item?
All right, thank you, Mayor. So as we're talking on the subject of training, this one's a little bit different. So because we obviously, every employee is required to go through annual ethics training, and we have asked KLC to come provide an on-site ethics training, you know, specifically for not only our ethics policy, but just ethics in general for municipal employees. And so they presented us with agreement for that. Tentatively, based on if the agreement's approved, we've scheduled ethics training for April the 4th, but the total cost of that would be $600. So staff's recommending approval of that training agreement for the annual ethics training by KLC.
Does that include our ethics committee? They can be a part of the training?
It does not, but we could most certainly include them if to bring them into that. We're also going to, and we've gotten KLC's approval to record that training and redistribute it internally, so we could record it and redistribute it to the committee as well.
Playing off of the mayor's comments, so it doesn't matter how many people show up, employee-wise, $600 is the fee.
Yes, it does. And that's one of the reasons why we discussed having that training recorded, because we know that, you know, our room that we're going to utilize, we can hold about 50 employees, so obviously we want to have all of our managers, supervisors, key staff in those positions. But we're also going to record it and distribute it out to all city staff.
Thank you, sir.
So we can come to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I was waiting to send out the official notice until we get this approved, but it's April 4th at 9:30. We're going to do it in the training room downstairs.
Okay.
And if all five of us show up, it will not be it's a training session, so it's not going to be a meeting, right?
Yeah.
I'm still looking at the city clerk over there. The eyes got that big around, right?
We can give assigned seating if you want, Mayor.
Well, I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-032503.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, likewise, motion carries. Thank you all. We're at that stage in our agenda where we hear the public for the second time. The public can talk to us about things that are not on the agenda at this stage, and we will try to listen to you. Raise your hand, be recognized, and please come up to the microphone, and we will listen to you. Anyone? Let's move right along then. Next is for the commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments?
I wanted to give Parks and Rec a shout out to the amazing Easter egg hunt at Millennium. And I think it might have been in partnership with another church. And anyway, that was in the afternoon. That was well attended. And I just wanted to announce, it's been in the paper, Bluegrass Ride is offering rides from Danville to Lexington for $5.
Jealous.
And
Man.
that's going to be very helpful, so.
Yes. $5 each way, right? Man,
Cheaper than driving.
it's amazing. $10 round trip? Oh, you want to? $10? I thought it's $5 one way. Yeah. All right, she's right. Okay. Any other commissioner comments?
I just want to, Parks and Rec also, they ended their season of basketball and had an all-star game at the end, which was something new, and I thought that was good. You know, it was a big event, and they, I think, well attended, so. And then also thanks to the fire department, I went and had my training, and so I do appreciate their help in the CPR. It was a long day, but the training that they gave was necessary, so thank you.
That's great. Other comments?
Yeah, appreciate we're coming along over the fire department with that statues up, and we're almost got that memorial ready to go, statue memorial, sorry. So that looks great, and last week's homelessness forum was well attended, and I give kudos to our chief of police, Tony Gray. He oversaw it real well, so.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Call? Anything positive? They took it all, right? You okay? All right, then. I'm good, too. Next item is payment of the bills. Chair would entertain a motion to pay the bills as presented or as amended. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $297,893.77.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank
What
you.
if it dies for lack of a second?
Won't pay the bills. Well, I tell you, Lee, she'll be looking over me up there this week. Okay, all right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other questions about the bills? Any
Well, I
additional-
just wanted to compliment staff. I see BCTC trainings on here, so I guess Randy's gone, but I'm glad to see staff taking advantage of the BCTC trainings. And it looks like we have a new canine dog. I guess I missed that last time, so.
I think that came along with a new staff member that transitioned over from another entity, and they had a dog, and so we have reimbursed them since they obtained it through a grant. So, but yes, so I don't know how many that makes, but we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the bill list? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Thank you all, motion carries. Next item is Ms. Compton, Global Payments Amendment.
Okay, so I will preface this with a good point that Stephen brought up that has been kind of in the back that we need to work on. At some point down the road, within the next 6 to 12 months, we would like to get all of our payment systems integrated, but, so I'll give you an update when I have one on that. But currently, credit card payments or debit card payments made out at Park and Rec are made through a different payment processor than what we use here at City Hall. So that's kind of a holdover from contracts that had been signed prior to me starting and us getting the current vendor that we use. And I think there were some issues getting the old utilities processor to, it would not have been advisable to merge those, the Park and Rec and the prior used utilities payment processor. So they use what a company called Global Payments, who processes those cards for us. And we are recommending an update to our current contract. It does extend the timeline currently to 12 months from the approval of this. But they have offered to reduce the fees that are currently being charged per swipe, essentially, of the cards. So currently, per transaction, there is a 29-cent plus a 0.870% fee per transaction. And with this agreement, that would be reduced to a 10-cent fee plus a 0.40% transaction fee. The monthly transaction fee per total number of transaction would be reduced from 21 cents to 5 cents, and the rate per transaction would be reduced from 0.84% to 0.05%. And then the funding fee would be reduced from 0.43 cents to 0.05 cents, and with a 0.25% to a 0.05% fee. And then other monthly fees would also be reduced. We would no longer have a bank deposit service fee, which is essentially when they put it into the bank for us, from 0.2 cents per batch to 0. The batch per item fee would go from 0.09 cents to 0, and the network compliance fee would go down to from $89 to $39, and the member fee would be 0. So, and we are estimating that on a normal annual basis, we would save about $5,619.86. So it doesn't
Very good.
change the capabilities of the service. It doesn't change the anything about the processing. Essentially, similar to how your cable network will offer you a short-term discount to stay with them, that's essentially what they've offered us, is a stick around another year and we'll reduce the fees that you're being charged. If within the 12-month period that this is extended to, we do get to a point where we can transition to one system, which would be preferable. There is a $250 cancellation fee, but our assessment is that even if we did cancel prior to the 12 months, we would save substantially more than that.
Donna said she missed a couple of those numbers about midway through.
That's why it's in your packet. There's a little chart.
They didn't teach that math when I was in school, so. But you say you're gonna save $5,000 to $6,000 annually, so.
About approximately $600 annually. It varies month to month because the activity in Park and Rec, in the spring and summer months, the transactions are significantly higher versus December, January. So those kind of spike in the summer. So I think we'll save the majority of it between April and October.
This doesn't impact the customer?
It doesn't, they will notice no difference whatsoever. Because currently we pay those fees, so.
Sounds good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-03-2504.
Second.
There is a second. Thank you all. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Next item, Mr. Carrier. Fluoride letter discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. This agenda item is in relation to House Bill 141, which is currently being heard in the Kentucky General Assembly. The city received some requests from state representatives and legislators across the state asking for the state's or the city's support for House Bill 141, which essentially would repeal a current mandate that is administered to all drinking water service providers around the state for mandatory fluoride integration into the drinking water system as part of the process at their local water treatment plants. House Bill 141 would essentially take that responsibility and direction out of the EPA's hands and put it in a more local standard of care, lack of a better term, for your water service providers. That way, those water service providers could reach out to their customer base and discuss more intently with those customers about the need for water fluoridation into the drinking water system. So a little bit of history on that. Water fluoridation through the EPA has been mandated since like the 50s, for example. But in recent years, there's been a lot of back and forth in scientific analysis and reports that both support and also do not support the introduction of fluoride in the drinking water system. You've got some pretty prevalent bodies out there on both sides. You've got the American Dental Association, obviously, on one side that are pro-fluoride in the drinking water. But then you've also got your Harvard School of Public Health that has some recent reports that say it's probably may not be the best for newborns and your younger generations of folks that could possibly, according to some of the numbers, may negatively impact brain development, right? So as opposed to the EPA mandating that in the drinking water system, we wanted to provide a letter of support for House Bill 141 to try to bring that into the realm of the local water providers. That way we can have more localized conversations about the need to have that fluoride introduced into the water system. So the city manager asked that I develop a letter to send in support of that, House Bill 141, which is attached therein into the agenda item. There's been some back and forth about also that there are other countries, for example, that don't mandate fluoridation in their drinking water system. And there's been some studies that show that there may or may not be preservation of tooth enamel in those reports as opposed to the countries that do. So there's a lot of back and forth right now. It's kind of up in the air from a scientific standpoint. But at the end of the day, we felt like it'd be worth sending a letter of support to get that into the hands of the local water provider. And I was just bringing that to y'all's attention as much as anything because there are a lot of discussions, especially from a dental standpoint, not only locally but in the national media right now.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments from commission? From our city attorney? You want to give?
So if it comes to the local, who makes the decision on the fluoride levels? Is it you got the board or?
The EPA mandates the amount that's introduced into the water system. So right now, it's a minimal amount. I mean, it's not like it's a large amount to begin with, but the EPA and the Kentucky Division of Water mandates that. So all the water treatment facilities across the state have to introduce fluoride
Okay.
at a maximum, not to exceed a maximum level.
So the question is whether or not we want
Yeah.
to send a letter to our legislators.
I think the
support.
question, this is a discussion item. Staff has provided a letter from the utility side saying they support local control over what is introduced into the water that's not directly associated with the disinfectant, correct, Marshall?
Correct.
Right.
Well, it's technically not a disinfectant. It's actually
That's my point, though.
not intricate to the
Yeah.
disinfection process.
Sure. As it's not intricate into the disinfectant process, the desire is to have local control over additional items added to the water as opposed to state mandated control. So the letter was sent, this was an information item for you, knowing that staff was pursuing, supported that bill to assume local control over additional things added to the water locally.
So my question was, who makes that decision if it does go local control? Is that entirely in your department or is it city government?
That would be a decision that we would have, on a local level. But I mean, more than likely, if it is approved, House Bill 141, we will likely reach out to the public and have those discussions. We certainly wouldn't do it behind closed doors, but we would reach out in some manner, whether it's a survey or something like that with the public and get their feedback on that. If it were to get to that point.
Okay. Is there a motion from the commission to accept the
We don't
letter?
need one.
Send the letter?
None is needed, Mayor. It's just a
None is needed?
discussion item.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. That seems strange. He presented it to us, okay.
He was presenting it just as an actions of staff, just like the city manager I presented his letter last time that went to Kinder Morgan.
Yeah.
And to team leader, it was a point of information to you to know as a known activity of staff in pursuit of a certain end. And so that is just another point of information provided to you what your municipal utilities director presented.
But could we have voted last meeting to not send Morgan a letter?
No, you could not have. It was already sent. It was provided to you as a notice,
FYI.
as a notice of what the city manager was in pursuit of. And that was an immediate address of safety concerns and a road reopening.
Yeah, but I almost voted no not to send that letter last meeting. No, I'm just- It just.
It's simply
odd.
done,
It's
administrative
simple.
matters like that. This
Yeah.
is a point to enhance communication between staff and the commission. This is not required for a vote. It was merely done to provide you information on action staff is taking in their relative departments.
Yeah, but I still have an issue with that, because if this thing passes, then it comes back to us, and we have a Pandora's open box discussion about fluoride in our water or not, which probably won't happen, but it could happen.
Yeah, I appreciate the communication. I've actually probably been asked about this 20 or 30 times. Maybe it's just the industry I'm in, but I appreciate this communication. So thank you.
But tell us how you've been asked. Asked
I've
to
been
support it or to oppose it?
Well, in my industry, everybody opposes it,
Oppose
but
taking it
it's
out or putting
taking it out.
Oppose taking it out?
Yeah.
All right, okay, I just want to get some clarification.
That doesn't necessarily represent me. I'm
No,
just
I-
answering your
yeah,
question.
I
It may.
And, importantly, this does not say whether fluoride will be kept or will be removed. It merely removes the decision-making to a local capacity.
Yeah, I'm trying to grasp that.
Yeah,
It's a home rule thing.
exactly. It makes it a home rule decision.
Okay. So next item then, right, what you telling me? Next item is Hendrick Company change order number 2. Mr. Carey, you have that one as well.
Thank you, Mayor. This agenda item is in relation to change order number 2 to address a waiver pertaining to Build America, Buy America federal funding requirements. Based on the waiver, the contractor currently on the Spears Creek Pump Station job that we recently awarded was able to replace certain valves and equipment and credit the city $100,000 back to the city on their existing contract. And essentially what that Build America, Buy America, it's BABA is short for the term, but it's a federal requirement in which water infrastructures projects mandated by EPA and federal grant monies, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Department of Housing, Urban Development, all support an initiative essentially at the end of last year for a more domesticated provision of certain materials in the water infrastructure process of building a water line, for example, certain valves, certain pipe materials, and so on and so forth. When you do that, it essentially restricts the schedules of product. So let's say, for example, if you have a lot of products nationally or internationally, now you're beholden to schedules on a global stance, right? So maybe you can get certain products quicker than you could in certain areas of the U.S. But the Buy America, Build America requirements mandated that those items are purchased here in the U.S. When you have a water project like what we have, a valve, if you have to buy it domestically, may take 6 months longer than it would have if you could get one from another country. So in the understanding of that, once we developed the initial schedule with the contractor, they pointed it out and said this is going to take a lot longer than we'd anticipated to get these items. So we reached out to EPA and we had already started the design process for this project before the mandate became instituted at the end of last year. So we were able to get a waiver for that. Part of that waiver is some of these materials that we were now able to get on an international level, not just a national level. Does that make sense? So we can get certain valves internationally on a much faster rate to it helps our end schedule for the project, but also reduces our cost. So that's where we're able to save $100,000 at this point in time with the project. Hopefully in the future, we may see some more cost savings on the project, but this is just kind of out of the gate right now.
That's a sad commentary. Wow. Is there a motion on Resolution 2024-03-2505?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Next item is the 4th Street Tower AT&T lease agreement. Mr. Carrier.
This agenda item is in relation to lease amendment number 5 as it relates to AT&T Singular Wireless Communication upgrades. currently attached to the City of Danville 4th Street Water Tower located at 801 South 4th Street. This amendment more precisely describes antenna and equipment replacements and upgrades, pre- and post-installation inspection reporting, and final configuration as shown in Exhibit 2A attached herein. So we've got the 4th Street Tower that's sitting on the hill that has some antennas attached to the outside of it. Anytime that somebody like AT&T or Verizon wants to come in and do upgrades to those antennas, we have a current lease agreement with them, so they come to the city, address with schematics and engineered drawings and a draft proposal for the current lease agreement to say we want to replace certain antennas on that tower, keep certain other ones. And in that process, we go through an amendment process to formalize that motion. And this is what this is.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024032506.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of 032506, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Then we come to the Josh Morgan part of the agenda. Josh?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This first item is concerning 422 Duncan Hill. It's the property just west of Hilldale Cemetery. If you're going out Duncan Hill, it's on your right, just prior to the cemetery. It's a vacant lot. The city has a few $1,000s worth of liens on it I think it's approximately $3,000. We've been mowing it consistently over the past few years. It's been sitting vacant for a while. There's a little storage building there, but no home on the property. This kind of came to the forefront for us because the development is occurring on Boffman Avenue, the new 58 lot development behind the church there. When they came to the city and to Marshall specifically to talk about water lines, Marshall determined it was necessary to connect their water system to Duncan Hill Road to create a loop of water. And Marshall could go into more details about that if you all like, but they need to get access from the new development to the water line on Duncan Hill Road. They first called me about crossing the cemetery, but there's not really a good place for us to dig in Hilldale Cemetery, especially on that western end, because we don't have good records of where burial sites are, and we can't put a shovel in the ground anywhere on that end of the cemetery. But I knew about this lot next door because I kind of keep an eye on the lots we have liens on, properties we have liens on. So I told the developer and their representative, hey, reach out to this property owner, try to find who owns the property, and see if you can get an easement across this vacant lot. It should be fairly simple. They've been unable to find a property owner. If the feeling is they may be deceased and we're not sure where to go from there. So talked to Stephen about it, and he indicated that we can initiate the foreclosure process. Not sure where it goes from there. There may just be a way to stir up who is a good representative of the property owner to even get them in touch with the developer. But we would like to initiate the foreclosure process just so we can start that process and get us going. So, they're going to start development this year. We give them a kind of a temporary approval to begin development with the idea that this water line will be in place once the project is completed. And we know how this goes. It'll be a long time before that development's full of houses and needs that water line connection. So we have some time here, but we need to get the process started. So we just wanted to bring this to you all tonight. Talked to Ms. Calhoun before the meeting. I think she's given me some clues on maybe who to contact about an owner. So this has already helped us maybe try to figure out some solutions. So wanted to bring this to you all tonight.
So Chair will entertain a motion to start this process.
I don't think we need one, Mayor.
Don't need one? Another
Actually, if
discussion?
we're going to initiate the foreclosure lawsuit, we just need a motion to approve the initiation of foreclosure against 422 Duncan Hill.
All right. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you all. Any other questions or comments?
So it's the little lot between that yellow house and the cemetery?
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
And they,
Okay, yeah.
And, we discussed, I don't know if this is a property we even pursue as the city or not through the foreclosure process. Like if we try to purchase, there might be some benefit to us. It's kind of on the wrong end of the cemetery for expansion, but it could potentially be useful for us. But I've even talked to the developer about at least making a pedestrian access from the new development to Duncan Hill that would eventually get you down to Michael Smith Park with the new playground and everything going in. So there's some ideas there that we can maybe tie all this together and maybe it becomes beneficial for the city to pursue the property as well.
Not large enough for a single-family dwelling?
It could be. It's about, I think the lot's about 70 feet wide. I could confirm that. There's not been a survey done, but I think just measuring on Google Earth, looking at where people have been mowing the yards to in the past, it looked about 70 feet. So yes, you could definitely fit a single-family home on that.
So in the sake of foreclosure, when the property is sold by the court, it goes to the highest and best bid. So in that event, the city gets a credit of whatever the judgment amount is to bid up to that dollar amount. So without having to actually put cash on the table. So if we have $3,000 worth of liens plus interest, we may have up to $5,000 possibly to bid, and we could either do it, receive it, and then provide an easement is necessary, or the developer could purchase it outright for more than the city liens, or a private developer for that matter. So the city's goal would be twofold. One, probably to have its liens recouped, but also the developer would have an interest in, getting access to complete the water loop that was necessary for the utility.
Yeah, this could become a part of that habitat discussion about finding some available lots.
It could, yes.
Or the city can acquire it, put in what it needs to, and then surplus it to something like Habitat or whatever.
Okay.
You do need a vote, though, Mayor.
Oh, yep.
We do have a motion.
We have a motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, likewise. This has been going on since early last fall, hasn't it? Can't remember last time I was to walk that piece of property.
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's go on then. Josh, you're still up. Vision
Yep.
Zero Traffic Initiative.
So as part of the, Safe Streets for All grant that the city received, and we're using that to develop our Vision Zero traffic safety plan, we've been going through that process over the past couple of months. Part of that process is the city adopting this Vision Zero initiative, which we have to state in a resolution. Our goal is to reach 0 fatalities and serious injury accidents by a certain date. That resolution is what you see in your packet that puts our goal at the year 2050 to reach that. I thought that was a little conservative. I thought that we could get there a little quicker than 2050, but I think that's what the other cities that are going through this process are putting that year in there. This will enable us to then use that initiative to apply for the Safe Streets for All implementation grants, which we're kind of speeding this along really quickly right now because our first grant application is due May 15th for the implementation grant. So we've got to get the plan done, get the grant application in. So this is just part of that whole process to finish the plan, get it ready, package it, get it approved, and then submit our application for implementation. And just as information for you all, that it's looking like we're going to eyeball the bypass, the southern part of the bypass as the first application. And the reason for that is because of our tight timeline, we're going to piggyback on a corridor safety study that the state did from Danville to Stanford that started at the railroad tracks at the bypass and continued all the way to 150 in Stanford, the 27 150 intersection in Stanford. So we're going to piggyback on that corridor study that they did, use the implementation projects that they determined and developed this grant application. We've already been meeting with the state about it, and I think good part about that is I think the state's going to be willing to put forward a lot of the match for the project because it's looking like it's going to be about a $10 million project, and the match would be $2 million, and they're going to put a good portion of that forward. So we're all trying to work together really quickly, and this is just part of that process is to get this initiative approved. So,
we need a motion to approve Resolution 032507.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-032507.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, resolution carries. Josh?
last item in your package, you have a contract with Boom Bad Fireworks to conduct our 2024 fireworks show on July 4th. It's in the amount of $17,000. The city and county split that cost. The county has already approved this and signed the contract on their end, so we just need to do it on the city's end.
Did the county approve to pay it all?
They approved to pay half. I think.
The name of the company is Boom Bad.
Apparently, yes.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's, I picture a lot of people with 3 fingers running that place. I don't know.
Should be boom good. shouldn't it?
Is there a motion?
I move for approval of Resolution 2024-032508.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Seeing no other comments, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, all motion carries. Chief Gray, you've been very patient, sir. You're up next.
Mayor, Commissioners, you all have a proposal there for a contract for a retiree SRO with the Danville Christian Academy. There's a 3-year payment scale on there for reimbursement. It's similar to the same contracts we have with the other school systems.
Thank you, sir. Questions or comments to the chief?
What, just update us on where we have SROs now.
Our current SROs
Par-
are Danville High, Bate, Tolliver, KSD, Hogsett. I think that's all of them, I believe.
Yeah, all public schools.
Correct.
Okay. So,
Do we get a reimbursement from the state for the public schools?
No.
Okay.
Is
Go ahead.
KSD considered public?
Who?
KSD?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we
it's
do
under
get,
it's under the KDE.
we get reimbursements from each of the school districts. So from Danville, we get theirs directly from them. And then for KSD, we do get reimbursement from the Department of Education.
Yes, maybe I misunderstood your question.
Well, it's not the state, I mean, the State Department of Education reimburses for KSD, but it's not the state in the sense that it's the General Assembly providing revenue from the state's operating budget.
No.
I mean, it is, but it's under the department, not
Yeah.
the state itself globally.
And I asked Lee today, and you can explain how much we're spending, for each SRO, because none of them are fully funded by the schools. So I think that needs to be said.
Correct. Actually, there's different stages of funding. Danville High School and Bate Middle School, those officers are regular patrol officers. We have those officers the whole school year, or the whole year, not just the school year. So Officer Barleston and Officer Shirley that work those 2 schools, they're officers and they're not on the part-time schedule, and they are not retirees. The officers at KSD and the other schools, Tolliver, those officers are retired officers that are rehired back. So those are not full-time officers, and we do not pay their benefits. This would fall up under that scheduling as well.
So for those retired officers, there's a cost of about, between 50 and 60,000 per officer, based on the number of hours and that are worked. And currently, the cost to employ them plus their equipment are, the city contributes approximately $136,000 more than we receive back from those schools for just retired officers. So that's in addition. Additionally, we have the full-time staff, but they they have other duties when they're not at the school system. So that's kind of a net for us. So we do get $128,000 from the Danville school system annually and $96,000 from KSD annually.
I do think it's important to remember kind of some of the historical conversation around SROs in general. When this was considered a new item when the city first started providing the service, it was one in which the city recognized its role to protect people as a primary function of government. irrespective of cost. That was one of the first concerns. So it wasn't something that the city necessarily ever sought to achieve, either a profit or a net even, because it found it part of its base obligation to the public in which it serves. That would be analogous to the fire department making runs. Citizens aren't charged for the services that are provided by the fire department. If you were going to look at that, the whole fire department would be operative at a net loss to the city to a large degree. So do the police department. On a normal run, those aren't necessarily billed to people, right? So when this was first conceived, it was done so as a base function of government and providing security to its citizens, and particularly children in this instance. But that's a little bit of the historical conversation.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the numbers, I think it's important to remember they were never created with an intention of breaking even from a financial standpoint, but it was viewed as an investment in the security of the community through the schools as an assistant to helping and aiding police powers in other measures, catching vulnerable students, families that may be susceptible to certain other types of criminal behaviors that was used as a detection method. So there were other benefits, public benefits received other than the actual compensation received from the school districts. I don't know if that helps, but I think it's important to kind of think about what they were actually formed to do originally.
We've always, both school districts and all schools inside the city, we've always sent officers to ball games and things like that, way before school resource officers were a thing. Back when I was a detective, I would go and do a program like our Citizens Academy at both schools. We called it a junior type Citizens Academy. Spoke to Jim Donald's class for 10 weeks, and we also did it at Danville High School for 10 weeks. If we have an incident at Center College, we're going to be the ones that go and take care of that incident. Center College is not paying us anything. Now we're not there during the day. They have security, but security and police are two different things. Center security cannot do criminal investigations. And same thing at BCTC. Right now we have a thing with Campbellsville College that we're doing a program with them at Campbellsville College, and we also at times have gone out and spoke at BCTC, myself and other commanders, and did like a junior citizens academy there. DCA presented a proposal to us. They asked us to present a pay proposal to them, and I did a pay proposal based on what we do for the other schools that we service.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments?
So if the salary is $55,000 and they reimburse $25,000, that would be $30,000 of taxpayer money towards salary.
For the first year, yes, and then it increases. That's kind of what we started out at Danville and those other schools. When we first started, those totals were about the same, and then they've increased to what they are currently. So, like I said, it's pretty much the same proposal that we presented to the other schools. I think KSD paid a little bit more just because they are a dorm, and they're there 24 hours during the week. Right now, we have 2 SROs there, I believe, and they're asking for a third. And, we would look and see if we can make that proposal with budget maybe next year.
So the Danville schools, the difference is about $32,000 for their
Roughly.
base pay?
Yes.
If you divide the 4, 2 are full-time, but anyway, close to that.
For each officer, yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes,
If you account for just the school time.
Right.
yes.
Chief, you mentioned how this all got started. What was the genesis? I mean, the DCA just came to you were Assistant Chief Doan and said,
Correct.
What do you got?
We had actually, there was conversations actually about 3 years ago. And I think they met with the sheriff's department and went on and signed a contract with them. They asked how we were doing, how we proposed or how we were doing it with the retirees. And I'm not sure if they have a retiree program like we do, or if it's a full-time officer out there like Danville High and Bate do.
I think we have a duty to keep our, students safe, but, Danville is in the county, and thankfully the county's been covering that. And I know DCA pays, the salary of the individual and doesn't use taxpayer money, so I'm just a little concerned using $30,000 of taxpayer money for a private institution. I don't know if if that's typical of what city government does. I'm not sure how my constituents would feel about that. I'd probably want time to ask.
DCA is within the city limits, correct?
Sure. I mean, the city provides police services for everyone within the city of Danville, irrespective of a public or private entity. I mean, policing services are provided, if necessary, at the hospital, which is a private nonprofit. I mean, whether it's Center College, Walmart, Kroger, or your home, the students that reside there or that attend there, some of which may be Danville citizens or not, but it's the same community. We've never made a distinguishment between spending public and private dollars on police services. Now, that would be different. The city of Danville constitutionally couldn't spend money to improve, from a capital perspective, any privately owned property. We've never done that. We can't do that. But in that regard, we don't do that for the public school system anyway. But that prohibition that you're referring to, Commissioner, is only respective to capital improvements within private property, and also you can't spend money outside of your municipal boundary. But this would be no different than saying we have water lines that transcend to DCA and they use public water, and there's infrastructure that are cost there, but that they should pay a different rate merely because they're private. We've never made that distinguishment here. And I would venture to say in policing or fire services, I mean, if there's a fire at DCA, they're going to receive the same services irrespective of the fact that they're a private institution. I think with the distinguishment is without merit when we're talking about police services. You're looking at providing security for those in your community, irregardless of where they reside or if it's a publicly owned facility or privately owned facility.
Even if it's a full-time person, what if Hobart wants a full-time officer?
What if who?
Like Hobart or just anyone wants a full-time
Well,
officer?
schools are required by Kentucky law to have an SRO, so Hobart's not. And so those institutions have security officers, which they can do, but in the sake of schools and children, they're required to have police officers to provide that service. So that's an apples to oranges comparison, frankly, and not, wouldn't hold merit as far as that comparison is concerned.
And I guess from my point of view is that if I'm the officer and I'm there and there's 300 kids there, I would assume that in the course of 165 school days, I'm trying to prevent a whole lot of stuff that you guys are never going to hear about that's worth a whole lot more than what the salary's going to be about. And the second point is that if you just have one incident in one of these schools, I don't want to say my grandchildren, but somebody's child gets hurt. I think we wouldn't be wanting to discuss the difference about the money. I think it's in the city. To me, there are students, there are kids. We need to do all we can to protect them. And this is an ounce of prevention that we're putting into schools for those kids. And they have quite more kids out there than I ever thought they would, that they have. They have, Chief General, number in there of students out there?
Like I said,
That's crazy.
the sheriff's department provides deputies and SROs for the county schools. when Boyle and Danville play at Boyle County, or if the Boyle County has a huge football game or a big crowd.
Yeah.
We go out there and assist them as well. We've done that way before I was the chief of police, before there was ever any talks about SROs. That's just my philosophy. I mean, whether you sign it or not, we're gonna go if something happens.
Well, we have cooperative service agreements anyway. So in the event that there was, let's say, a school shooting at Boyle County High School, then the City of Danville Police Department is going to respond on scene. And the same would occur at Danville Christian Academy. I mean, that's irrelevant as far as, because of our cooperative arrangement with Sheriff's Office. But it's within the municipal boundaries of the city, so the city is a first responder within that territory.
Just the need is being met already. That was my point. It's, if they didn't have anything, that's all.
Well, let me answer that question. If the Danville Police Department got approached about putting an SRO officer at DCA, then the answer to your question is very obvious. Somebody didn't think they were getting what they needed to protect their kids.
With the same person?
I mean, just say, no, I think they've come to Danville because they think Danville's going to provide a better service. Now, that's me talking personally, but I do know the person who's in charge of DCA, and I think that's, I don't know. That's a tough question to discuss out in public, though. Danville got approached. Our chief has presented a proposal to us. We either vote the proposal up or we vote it down. I'm leaning on the safety of the children myself.
They are safe
Well,
right now. That's all.
Commissioner Holland, can I ask you, you said
Yeah.
before that the county wasn't using taxpayers' money to pay for theirs?
Yeah, I asked,
I wonder how they
and
funded it.
DCA was paying the officer
100%?
100% is what I was told, but we'd have to verify. So I figured if we aren't using taxpayer dollars, why would we use 30,000?
I just wondered.
But that would probably need to be verified again.
Yeah, if they already have an SRO, and responding to the attorney's question, we do provide services to private people, but that's by call, not by contract. And so I have a little bit of a hang-up with if they already have somebody there and they're just trying to get by a little more cheaply or less expensive, why should that go on the city of Danville's backs when it's a private school?
The city of Danville has offered contracts. They've offered DCA the same contract that is offered to Danville schools. You provide a service, and then that same model the chief used to provide to another institution. Irrespective of the fact if it's public or private, the city was approached, it provided a service at the same cost that it provides it to other institutions within this community. If we don't have a rational basis for changing the price, like we do for water or sewer, for wherever they are, the price is what it is. And that's what the city, this commission has previously done historically, so that's what was offered. Chief wouldn't have authority to offer anything different before you. You should know that the document before you, as is our practice, has been approved by the Danville Christian Academy, and I believe it's signed, which is what we do typically. You know, when a contract is offered, it's signed, and then it's presented to you. But we typically aren't in the business of offering different prices to different people within our same community. That we just don't operate that way for equal protection reasons.
Is it state law that private schools have to have a SRO now?
I think all schools within the state Commonwealth
Okay,
have to
is it-
have student resource officers.
And we don't get any reimbursement anymore from the state?
The state
For
does
the
not
public
provide
schools?
reimbursement to local districts for that service.
It's unmandated, unfunded mandate. That's what I call them.
It was an unfunded mandate, and every school district is negotiated with their departments on what they pay. There's nothing set on how, there's no funding mechanism that's instituted by the state. It's just between the police departments and the school districts.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
There's no motion.
There's no motion? Okay. See, well, the chair would ask for a motion. Is there a motion to be made? There's only three possible motions. One to approve, one to deny, and one to table. So is there a motion available, necessary at this point? Lots of discussion.
I'll move to deny.
I'll second.
Been properly moved in second. Thank you all for that. Any other comments?
Just they're safe and it's not using taxpayer dollars. So that was just.
Well, the
what I
only
was-
correction to that I want to say is they are
Yeah.
using, if you're using equipment, you're
Well,
using
for
taxpayer
salary,
dollars.
for salary.
Well, but you're still using city or county resource, regardless, you're using city or county publicly funded money for whatever utensils are being used, whatever equipment, that there are public dollars, so we can't pretend that they aren't. They are. For salary, perhaps not. I don't know what the county benefits are. I have no knowledge whatsoever on that. But I just want to make sure that we make our decision based upon sound facts, and that is that public dollars are utilized regardless for the officer in general, whether it is a county officer or a city officer.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments, questions?
I attend most of the DCA events, and I do see Officer Robbins, and I feel like it's a safe place. They were even on TV a year ago when they started this program. It is safe currently, that's all.
Well, I'll call for the question then. A vote of yes means you're voting to deny DCA be provided SRO officer by the city of Danville. Is that right?
Roll call, Mayor.
Is that right?
Yes, if you vote yes, that is a vote to deny the
Deny,
motion
okay.
before you.
Okay.
I think Commissioner Cottle requested a roll call vote, Mayor.
What's that?
We do a
Commissioner
roll call?
If you, you requested a roll call?
Yeah, I would respectfully request a roll call.
All right, it's been properly moved in second, and a roll call vote has been called for, and Madam Clerk, you have the honors.
Commissioner Peak,
No.
Mayor Atkins,
No?
Commissioner Holland,
Yes,
Commissioner Saris,
Yes.
Commissioner Cottle.
No.
So by that vote, we voted, we turned down the motion, or the motion was denied to not provide one SRO.
The motion to deny failed.
Failed, okay.
And I mean, I'll explain mine. I mean, I think that, not that I have to, I guess, but I mean, I'm just, if they came to the city and requested a contract, there's a reason, I'm assuming there's a reason, maybe it is a cost savings, and I personally would like to know. I mean, Commissioner Holland, you made the comment that it's paid 100% back to the county. I mean, I don't know that. And I would just want to, I would want more information if that's,
So are you willing to make a motion to table this action till we get all these questions answered?
until we find that out.
You're free to make whatever motion you want. I don't know how we make that determination, but I mean, I'm sure Chief can.
Sheriff's here.
I'll go
Make-
forward. I respect Commissioner Peak's comments. I think more information would be good, would be helpful. I move to table it.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved in second that we table this item until further investigation, until it's brought back to us at our next regular meeting. 2 weeks be soon enough?
What, if I may, what
No.
specific things are we looking to answer? I know there's the question of the amount of the reimbursement. Is there anything else that we can't just throw it back open for discussion, I don't think. We need to be specific in the questions that we're trying to find the answers to.
All right, that's a good statement.
I mean, because
I
it
was
came
on
from
the-
staff, staff recommended this, so.
Yeah.
Staff's recommendation is that you approve the contract that's before you.
Right.
It's been properly moved and second that we table this item. I gotta move on with business, right? So I call for the question. Now, a vote in the affirmative means we table. A
Correct.
vote that says no means we don't table it. You're getting another history lesson out your funk house, right? Watch out.
A vote in the a yes vote tables the motion. A
Yes.
no vote would allow another motion to be made.
Yes, sir. Further, okay.
I would ask that you roll call vote this one, Mayor, for either the clerk.
Mayor Atkins,
I'm voting yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Saris,
Yes.
Commissioner Caudle,
Yes.
Commissioner Peak.
Yes.
Now, let's complicate things so that my insurance man back there can get a real good history lesson, right? Can I make a motion to take it off the table?
You can.
I'm just joking, no.
That would have died.
He needs to know all the options, right?
I do think, because you have tabled the matter, to Commissioner Caudle's point, I think the specificity of what you desire to know needs
Yeah.
to be properly described.
So I can start. I appreciate what you brought up, and that would be why the change? Why have they asked us to come in? Is there
Well,
a specific reason?
And some of that, respectfully, Commissioner, we may not be privileged to. I mean, you're talking about an entity who's asked for a city service, and you voted tonight to table it, which is fine. It's in your right to do that. It's in your right to reject it. But someone has requested services, and so I don't know that it's our prerogative to necessarily know why, or to ask.
And of course, I believe you're correct. How about if we reverse it? Why do you want Danville to be the SRO?
Okay?
Right, with the same person. What is changing in price or what specifically?
Well, I don't know that's, I mean, we make decisions irrelevant of personnel, so I don't know who's providing the service. I don't know what officer's providing the service. That'd be under the auspices of the chief to make that determination. Maybe he does know, but I don't.
That,
I think
I
more
just-
than anything, by tabling it, it just gives all of us a chance to think about it a little more.
Okay.
We've not discussed it one-on-one individually. I've not been to DCA since we've had this proposal sent to us. Sad I missed all them good basketball games, but I did. But I guess we individually have to do some of our own research. If anyone is personal or professional friends with DCA's administration, one of us, that might be a one-on-one conversation. I don't necessarily want to send the chief back out there for that kind of conversation, but I do know the new headmaster has been a long time public school administrator, so I don't know, but I don't know how you ask
he and
that
the city
question.
manager are,
What?
I think, he and the city manager, I think, are, yeah,
Oh,
are
yeah.
friends. or
Yeah.
something.
If you just want more time to think on it, that's fine. I just want staff, in the absence of the city manager during this time, we want to make sure the information is properly relayed to you as requested. And so, to the degree that you have specificity you would like, staff would be happy to collect what it can, or what is willing to be shared.
Well, and then the cost, I mean, is it, like
I don't think we
she
can.
said, is it paid fully by the county, or is it reimbursed 100% to the county?
For salary, yeah, that's what I'd be curious. And then, that's all.
I don't want to get into, well, I personally don't want to get into asking those kind of questions because
It's about the kids.
it's,
Well, I agree.
what I'll pay what we pay the chief is public record. Somebody wants to find it out, they can go find it out. But I'm not going out there and have a conversation with the city manager and say, well, you pay your police chief.
Yeah, I think I want to
So
make it
if
clear.
somebody
it
wants
was
to find that out, they need to go look for it themselves.
Yeah.
And if you want to
Nothing.
share it with us, you can share it with us, but I just think certain conversations don't need to be had. Now,
The other thing, I mean, it's a bit uncomfortable, right? The county provides a
Yes.
service. The staff at the city was approached to provide a proposal, which it provided. But now it seems that you're asking staff to intervene in a county matter, which the county clearly would desire to provide the service. It's their desire. So I don't know what information we're going to be able to readily receive from the sheriff's office or the fiscal court at large, who would clearly like to provide the service. I don't know what's going on in the relationship with there. I don't know if the chief knows that, but I'm just wanting to make certain you understand you're asking city staff to intervene in what is the county matter at this point, which
No,
is
it's not.
frankly a
No.
bit uncomfortable.
it's really not a county matter to me. DCA has decided they want to provide services to their students and to the adults out there by a different agency. And they approached us about it. Is there a need for an executive session?
There is not.
Are we just had it? We just have it? Oh,
Yeah, no, there's no need for an executive
whoa,
session.
there's not a need for an executive session? Don't fall out of your seat back there.
You want to have one anyway?
Yeah, well, no, I'm not making a motion to have one, you know that. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn with pleasantries.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it again if I have to.
Been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call vote on adjournment, please? Just joking, Jake. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Good. Guys, thank you for a great